Oke, buku ke-14 lumayan sering orang baca, yaitu Design Leadership by Richard Banfield. Jadi si O'Reilly ini kan dia ada banyak bikin buku-buku yang teknikal. Nah, buku yang dia O'Reilly bikin untuk design leadership cuma ada dua. Satunya, yang pertama adalah ini, yang satunya lagi yang org design for design org yang kita pernah bahas juga by Peter Manholtz. Nah, buku ini sebenarnya menurut gua less technical dibandingkan si bukunya Peter Manholtz yang org design for org design org itu, karena dia tipenya adalah dia kayak hasil interview si si authornya tentang ke berbagai macam desain leader yang dia temuin gitu. Jadi dia interview banyak desain leaders, terus di masing-masing topiknya dia kumpulin jadiin sebuah chapter. Dan walaupun dia juga ada nambahin banyak hal di sana. Tapi yang gue suka dari buku ini adalah other than dia dia lumayan capturing range of experience dari orang-orang yang berbeda, terutama ya pasti fokusnya di orang-orang di Amerika sana. Tapi di setiap chapternya itu pertama dia subchapternya pendek-pendek gitu. Jadi kayak contohnya misalkan di chapter personal growth and finding balance. Jadi subchapternya tuh pendek-pendek, jadi seperti sebuah artikel sendiri gitu. Jadi kayak finding the right focus, partners and support. Jadi kita nggak perlu untuk sekali duduk selesain semuanya. Kadang ya kalau gue pas lagi pengen ngomongin sebuah topik atau pengen belajar satu topik, ya gue tinggal skim through and then lihat sub chapter mana yang menarik gitu. Nah, big chapternya ada 8 chapter. Ada culture, talent, office space and remote working, personal growth and finding balance, planning for the futures, leadership styles, sales and marketing, learning from our biggest mistakes. Jadi kalau lihat dari nama-nama chapternya sangat less practical sebenarnya kan. Biasanya kalau tentang leadership kan tentang gimana bikin career path, gimana ngasih desain kritik, gimana caranya delegating bisnis, delegating kerjaan, gimana membuat strukturnya. Nah, dia temanya tema-tema umum gitu, kayak leadership style, planning for the futures, personal growth. Jadi lebih kayak ya di tengah-tengah lah, banci antara generic management book sama dengan desain specific book gitu. But menurut gue karena tipis, you should just read it karena ya bagus lah, dari nggak banyak kan ada resource tentang desain leadership. Nah, kita coba kita cobain yang mungkin leadership style kali. Leadership style, terus ini mungkin ini subchapternya balancing hard and soft approaches. Jadi bagaimana menyeimbangkan atau antara approach yang keras dan approach yang soft ketika kita memimpin sebuah desain tim. This eagerness to develop cultures of triple bottom line returns should not be mistaken from some hippie philosophy. The leaders we met with are very accessible when their team needs them, but tough when things get messy. I'm very casual but intense when intensity is needed, says Tracy Halvorson of Fastpod. I think everyone knows they can have a beer with me, we can chit-chat, but I do think that leaders have to be willing to make a tough decision quickly when they are needed. Otherwise, you can do a lot of damage. Halvorson goes on to explain the difference between being hands-on, tough, and micromanagement. When I need to make hard choices with the team, I'm not micromanaging. I love building a team where everyone has a lot of freedom. But the team can only do great work when they respect that culture and that culture supports them. This last point reaffirms something we observe in all the successful design groups. They are run like businesses that use design as a method to deliver solutions. They are not designers who just accidentally find themselves in business. These leaders are characterized by a leadership style that is caring and kind, but equally as focused on delivering value and keeping the business financially healthy. Leaders walk the tightrope of being nurturing and being tough. Successful design leaders hold this counterintuitive style in their hands at all times and know when to deliver a hug and when to deliver a rebuke. Jadi kalau lihat satu paragraf nih, stylenya udah kelihatan kan. Jadi dia kasih sebuah topik, terus ambil beberapa quote dari desain leader yang dia interview, terus komentar akan quotes itu dan membuat kesimpulan. Nah, style seperti ini akan konsisten di buku ini gitu. Jadi contohnya dia lagi ngomong bahwa ada satu orang bilang, oh gue tuh orangnya casual, tapi di waktu-waktu tertentu gue harus intens juga ketika intensity dibutuhin. Ada yang bilang bahwa, oh ya for sure, lu bisa minum bir sama gue, kita bisa ngobrol, tapi ketika gue harus make decision yang tough, yang cepat, dan gue akan melakukan itu. Dan di akhirnya si author-nya baru merangkum dengan kata-kata bahwa dia bilang leaders itu harus berjalan di tali yang sempit antara nurturing, merawat, dan being tough, being keras gitu. Harus bisa tahu gimana dan kapan harus deliver a hug, pelukan, atau rebuke, ganjaran atau hardikan gitu, atau teguran. Knowing when to be a hard ass and when to be a puppy dog is not straightforward. Design demands attention to detail. While design leaders are often open, trusting, and empathetic, they can be equally as stubborn and steely when it comes to their craft. They obsess about details and get frustrated when others don't understand the language of design. Many of our design leaders seem to be seeking a balance between design's myopic craftsmanship and a growth-minded openness that invites in new disruptive ideas. There's a lot of transparency in what we do, says Karen Denby Smith, but the other part of what we do is to look for people who have a very strong foundation in the pure philosophy of design. So if you don't understand the hierarchies of typography and color theory, you're not going to cut it at core group. Finding a balance between the hard and soft skills of design is the challenge of good leadership. Knowing when to let go of the craftsman's-like details and focus on the bigger pictures of running a design business is an important characteristic of successful leadership style. Kalau tadi dia bilang bahas tentang hard and soft approach, tentang kapan harus keras, kapan harus lebih kayak puppy dog dia bilang. Yang kedua adalah kadang kita harus tahu juga kapan harus zooming in dan kapan zooming out. Kapan harus fokus ke dia bilang philosophy of design, kayak color theory, typography, hal-hal hard skill, dan kapan harus zooming out, fokus lebih ke soft skill atau ke strategy. Leaders reminded us frequently of the contract of trust between the design company and the people that work there. I think it's a lead with the heart, says Vince LeFesia, partner and general manager at Instrument in Portland. It sounds really cheesy, but for me, I just want to connect with people and have an understanding. I'm sort of the people person, so if I can connect with people and have a sense of trust with them, then there is this bargain. They're coming here hours a day. I'm paying them for that. But there's more to it. We're giving plenty. So if I can keep that bargain on the trust level, we'll get a lot of back. Being clear that they are in a business environment that requires an exchange of services and money doesn't obscure leaders like LeFesia from the fact that there still needs to be trust between employer and employee. My leadership style is to make sure that is in balance all the time. If I can pass the straight face test with every employee here and have that connection with them, then I feel like I'm doing the right thing. This resonated with what we heard from other leaders like Brian Williams from Fidget and Tracy Halverson from Fatspot. Strong personal connection lead to trusting relationship, and that's good for business. It appears that it is not just LeFesia, lip service either. Vince the heart and soul of the company, says Justin Lewis, CEO of the Instrument and LeFesia business partner. Another balance yang dia argue adalah balance between business minded, tahu bahwa kerjaannya itu bisnis, harus harus kasih outcome, tapi juga on the other hand memberikan trust, environments yang trusting di antara employee-nya. These leaders invest time in getting to know what's on their team and what makes them tick. Integral to that is being available to everyone. I think the biggest things is I'm very approachable, says Scotty O'Mahony of Bankview. I make sure that I meet with my team casually, go out and have coffee or drink or just walk around. We have a lake right by us, so we walk around the lake just to get to know people, so that they feel comfortable talking to me. I don't see myself as, someone who's a hardcore manager. You must do this, you must do that. It's more that I'm the person that is to remove the blocks. I'm the person to help them in their careers. Leaders who see their primary role as making others successful tend to get the rewards they seek. Put another way, making sure the team can achieve their goals is the leader's single biggest contribution to the team. O'Mahony reminds us of the balance between soft and hard styles. Apart from being approachable, I can be irreverent and very vocal. I speak my mind, says O'Mahony. Ultimately, I'm very deliberate in what I do, and for the most part, I'm just there for my team. I think that's what they would say too. Jadi terus dia ngomong lagi tentang another topic balance gitu. Wah, kadang gua very approachable, gua taking seriously to invest my time in make a connection with them. Tapi ketika dibutuhin ya gua bisa very vocal. Dia speak his mind honestly. Sometimes the trust comes first and the structured approach comes afterward. My leadership style has definitely changed over time, says Marcelino Alvarez, CEO of Uncork Studios. Early on, it was very much trust that everyone will do what they need to do. I think when you are 5 or 6 people, it's really easy to trust and not have to be hands-on on certain things. Small groups are inherently easier to manage because you're often sitting in the same space. We are 22 people now, plus we have 5 or 6 freelancers and interns. So we are getting close to 30, reflects Alvarez. So relying only on trust doesn't work. Conversation don't scale regardless of whatever technology tools you're using to stay in touch. It's first me to look at what my management style is and realize that I've got a core team that I do trust. They're incredibly capable at their jobs. But if we are not having frequent conversation about what it is that we should be doing and why, then that doesn't magically clone itself and get distributed to everybody. This is something I have learned to balance myself. While it's natural for me to trust people and expect they will always do the right thing, it's not a guarantee that they will do their job. As our company grows, it becomes increasingly difficult to make certain that everyone knows what's expected of them. I find myself having to make time to explain what my expectations are to each person in the company. On the one hand, it's very large investment of time, but on the other hand, the results are very tangible. Creating tasks can only happen when you are authentic. That means being transparent about who you are and what's important to you. Successful design leadership often requires making hard choices about your own path. Being yourself often signals something stronger than your title. You don't have to be the CEO to lead and influence others. Your leadership style might not look like the traditional person in charge, but if it's real, it gains the respect of the people around you. That respect creates trust. I'm not going ever to be Jack Welch at GE or the CEO at a Fortune 500 company, says Jeff Kuzmarek, who leads product design at Virgin Pulse. But I know right now what I love doing. That means being myself, working with small teams, and throwing it 30 Rock and Big Lebowski quotes all day. That probably won't get me into the boardroom at some of these larger companies, but I need to be honest with myself. Kuzmarek's honesty and openness with his team give him the soft power he needs to get the jobs done. Yang terakhir, menarik dia throw beberapa topik tentang balance between trust, respect, and being true to yourself. Jadi bilang, and process tuh. Jadi di first chapter dia bilang, kadang nggak bisa cuma ngasih trust doang. Kita harus perlu, karena nggak scalable. Apalagi kalau timnya besar. Tim kecil, you can rely on trust. But with like 30, dia bilang udah susah untuk scale that. Jadi perlu ada proses untuk yang perlu di-define untuk scaling tadi trust yang di versi kecil. Kemudian dia bilang ada another paragraf tentang balance adalah bahwa untuk dapetin trust itu kita perlu dulu dapetin respect, dan untuk jadiin respect mandatory banget untuk being true to yourself. That transparency can help buat kita jadi respect ke diri sendiri dan juga buat orang lain bisa respect ke kita. Jadi get the gist of it, kita tadi baca satu sub paragraf dari buku ini, yang lainnya mirip banget, bakalan mirip kayak gitu. Dia akan maju mundur antara quotes, terus sebuah kesimpulan, terus jump little bit ke another example. Jadi dia lebih banyak explaining dengan example instead of menjelaskan frameworknya kemudian dengan detail ke bawahnya seperti buku Org Design for Design Org yang pernah kita bahas sebelumnya. So is a good piece buat apa ya, kalau kita tipe bacanya lebih suka nggak terlalu fokus ke satu topik tapi lebih ke banyak cari inspirasi here and there. Design Leadership by Richard Banfield. Thank you everyone. See you next time.